Innovators are all about shaking up the status quo, and they take us into a different future. I have so much faith in human ingenuity and human good nature. For the past 20 years, there's just been this amazing surge in technology. I think it's the warm-up act. I think the really exciting stuff is still to come, and I feel very fortunate that I've got this front row seat to watch the next industrial revolution unfold in front of us. I'm not making this up, right? I'm not looking really hard to try to put a positive spin on a negative story. I kind of wish I were an innovator myself. I wish I had those skills and that drive and that orientation. I would love to be creating technologies that are out there changing the world. That's not what I'm doing. What I personally would much rather do is open that conversation about tech change, tech progress, and how it's changing our world, mainly because I think it's one of the most important topics going on right now, and therefore one of the most important conversations to have. Tech progress is literally letting us do more with less in very profound ways, and we're substituting code and bits for atoms out there in the material world over and over, so that our consumption actually allows us to tread more lightly on the planet. I'm talking about all the goods and services that we might want to consume. That includes education, that includes entertainment, that includes health and healthcare, that includes the ability to communicate with your friends and your loved ones, even as they go all around the world. That is not a barrier anymore to incredibly robust, deep communication. I'm hugely enthusiastic about protecting that future from the forces of inertia, from the forces of the status quo, from the forces who just think that yesteryear was so fantastic and want to take us back there. That means being willing to disrupt and upset some things that have worked very well in the past and that some people cherish very much. I think it entails a degree of open-mindedness that's uncomfortable for some people. When things change this quickly, it is frightening, and a lot of stuff is in flux, and a lot of stuff is new and unfamiliar. Getting comfortable with that, I appreciate that it's really difficult, but I think that's the role of leadership in this world that we're heading into. In the past 5 years, we finally figured out how to build robust, industrial-grade systems that can learn on their own, and they don't need us to tell them what patterns to look for or what strategies to follow. These technologies are already being used to make data centers run in a much more energy efficient way. They're being used to diagnose disease. I want a digital doctor, a digital diagnostician, as soon as I can get one. Also within the past 5 years, we figured out how to, we believe, manipulate the genetic code with arbitrary precision, to go anywhere we want to on the genome, snip out any set that we want, replace it with any set that we want. We have a word processor for the DNA molecule now. It's profoundly good news. Let it happen. I don't like the precautionary principle, which is this idea that because harm could come, we're going to close this down. The majority of human adults have the ability to end their information isolation, to communicate fairly broadly. As the devices that they use get more and more powerful, they will have better ability to access the sum total of human knowledge that we've put online. I find it really easy to underestimate that and really important not to. We have never ever done that before, and if you think that that's not going to realize a lot of benefit and a lot of bounty for humankind, I think you have a pretty dim view of human nature. There's really wonderful research that looks at what happens to communities when they, for example, get cell phones for the very first time and when their information isolation ends. And you watch their economic lives, it's like a switch got flipped. Things get better substantially and immediately for these people. The fundamental thing to keep in mind is that technology and tech progress always create jobs and create opportunities, and they always destroy old jobs and old opportunities. Joseph Schumpeter had the right phrase. He called the process of capitalism, and I would put tech progress right there with it, as the process of creative destruction. Overall, the creation outweighs the destruction, and that's fantastic, but the people who are left behind, those are the folk that we need to be concerned about. If we bring together freedoms of expression, the ability to participate in society via democracy, and incredibly powerful and more powerful all the time tools, that makes me pretty optimistic that people can more fully participate in their communities and their societies and live their lives in a healthy way. if the tools get better, most of the challenges that we face will get better.